everybody. Welcome to another episode of When Calls the Hallmarkies. This is a show where we talk about all things When Calls the Heart. And we are doing our final recap for season 10. And this is season 10, episodes 11 and 12 that we were talking about today. And we got lots to say. It's going to be exciting. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner. Caroline's here.
Hey.
And Mary's here.
Hello.
I hope you're both doing well. And we'll spend most of the time talking about episode 12, but we've got a lot to talk about, and we definitely want to have your comments, your feedback. We know there's a lot of strong feelings going on right now, so always, of course, be respectful. And it's wild. I never, even like halfway through the season, even then, I would not have predicted it, what happened. Like, it's just, I still have to believe that something happened that made them change. It just doesn't make sense with everything they were building with, Faith and Nathan, and then all of a sudden in one episode, they abandoned the plot of everything except for obviously Rosemary and the baby. Everything that had happened in the season up until that point was just basically abandoned. Chopped. And then there's this whole new track that felt like it was written by a different writer and so I'm just dying to know the behind the scenes, what happened, because I guarantee something happened that made them change course. And in my opinion, I think it was for the best. I think that it was a very compelling season where I did not know what was going to happen, and I was legitimately like, got to see the next episode. So I think it was very effective, but I understand the mixed feelings. But yeah, we'll dive in. Let's talk about episode 11, and it's called Long Time Running. And this episode is Hope Valley is abuzz with talk of Lucas. He used to receive support from Elizabeth and the entire community, but everyone is still concerned that it won't be enough to stop the governor. So overall, Mary, what did you think of this episode?
So I watched it the next day, so I got a little bit of some spoilers on Twitter, or I could feel the rumblings, and so I think I kind of went into it with a little bit of an edge, like, oh no, here it comes, you know what I mean? Versus if I so I was looking with a critical eye for what are the signs that for this big breakup that's going to happen at the end. So the whole time I just feel like, and I feel like I lost some of the joy of it because of that. And I got mad.
Yeah. Yeah, you're already mad even by this episode.
I was getting mad. I was like, I have the receipts. Anytime I search hashtag Lucabeth, there's this gorgeous, beautiful, kissy, lovey, in love scenes. And then by the end of that episode, it was Luca death. So it's just,
Would you say that because you weren't on the podcast for when season 8, were you team Nathan or team Lucas, or ambivalent at that point? And then
I think I was ambivalent for like the first half of that season, but by the end I was like team Lucas. I was so excited. And so I think I felt personally betrayed, and now I realize how others felt back then with the swap. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Caroline, what about you? What did you think of the episode, and what has been your journey with as far as Lucas as a character?
See, I liked Lucas at the beginning, like when he came into season 6. I'm like, oh, he's going to be interesting, because it was like something that hasn't happened on the show before. So I was like already like, okay, he's going to be fun. And then like all the triangle stuff happened. I'm like, oh Lord. And then it was kind of like, okay, they're really cute together, like Elizabeth and Lucas, and then little Jack, and it was just like a roller coaster ride. Yeah. And so that's how it felt. Season 10 was a roller coaster ride.
Now, for me, I always felt like it was a chance with Lucas to do something interesting with Elizabeth's character and have her grow as a character. and so I was excited and intrigued and surprised, because I don't think that the season was that well written, season 8. And there were definitely real ways that they were showing that she was going to pick Nathan. So I understood why people were upset. But then I also felt like she was dating Lucas the whole season. She had chosen Lucas from the beginning. So it made a lot of sense. It's not like she had, like, I don't know, kissed Nathan or even gone on a date with Nathan and then was sitting here thinking like, what, and so I was, but I was really intrigued with, okay, like maybe they can get some interesting character development, because the thing with Elizabeth is that she is basically a perfect character. Like she makes very few mistakes. She is, I don't know. I mean, she's just not somebody that has a lot of nuance to her character. Like, she's better than Abigail in that respect. Abigail was like a paragon of virtue and never showed any real like weakness. And if I'm going to watch a show every week, like, I want to get invested in characters that, and that's why I've always liked Rosemary the best, because she was a flawed character. She was interesting. She made choices. She had personality. And so that's why I think the first half of this season really worked, because it was basically the Rosemary love fest. And she was a good character and got a lot of payoff. And I mean, that's why I think in general Henry Gowan has worked as a character, because he's grown and changed and evolved. And so I was hoping that that's kind of what we would get more of with Elizabeth and Lucas, and especially, people, oh, she's dating a saloon owner or whatever. And I think then they got scared because there was that response. And so it's like, okay, we've got to now turn Lucas into this perfect character who always has the right response to everything. And so that was disappointing. So when it came down to this choice of all of a sudden making this flip, I was shocked, because I didn't think that they were going to do that. I didn't think that they would do that. But since I had kind of lost any interest in Lucas as a character, I didn't really care that much. And it was so unpredictable. It was so surprising that I was pretty engaged with, oh my gosh, what's going to happen in this next episode. So I do think from a narrative perspective, even though it doesn't really make sense, and I completely get the complaints about gaslighting and everything, it was compelling. I was like, oh my gosh, are they really going to do this? What is going to happen next? And so I was drawn in each episode post that Faith Nathan episode, where they all of a sudden just changed the whole season, which is crazy. In that sense, I think is one of the most effective seasons of One Calls the Heart that they've ever had. Just in like, I got to see what's going to happen. And maybe it was a little bit of a kind of a cheap parlor trick, but it worked for me. I was like, I want to see. I'm so excited. And I usually don't have that feeling when it comes to One Calls the Heart, as far as like being anxious to know the end of the story. Usually it's pretty, predictable.
They had like an after show, like with the Lindsay and Brian Bird on, and they said like they knew right like at the beginning of writing this season that they wanted Lucas to become governor, and that he couldn't be with Elizabeth because of like wanting to run for governor, or not wanting to run, but like becoming governor. So they had to like break them up so they can so he can grow as a character.
I mean, I feel like in real life she would try it, that she would go and she would go on that trip and she would try the capital city life, and then just realize, like you wouldn't go and well, we're getting more into the second episode, but you you wouldn't go from, oh, that was a safe choice. Like that didn't feel like an authentic line to me at all. Like not maybe in a year you'd be like, oh yeah, that really was kind of a safe choice, but not the weekend it happened. You wouldn't say that. So
you don't go from being completely in love, at least from what we can see, and then
yeah.
being like, oh, never mind, that was just a silly mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that also made a lot of viewers mad was that she's supporting him, telling him to run, and then she at the train station is like, good luck with that. Never, I can't do it.
Yeah. That they needed like 2 or 3 more episodes in between to really make that valid. I think that was, and so why did I don't even understand the first half of this season. If that was really their plan, like what the heck were we doing? Like spending all this time with the hot springs and
hot air balloons.
Yeah, like all that stuff like was what was all the like the Faith and Nathan stuff makes no sense. Like what were they doing? And if I don't know, like they could have had this at the very beginning of the season. If that was their plan, they could have had, I mean, they had like one line from Agnes. Agnes,
Agatha.
right? Agatha. Why do I always do that? Agatha. They had one line from Agatha about, is Lucas belong here kind of a thing. And that was it. And they could have been building that up all season long.
With a little more. Yeah.
I could kind of see them putting that like about him going to a bigger stage about like wanting to help more with the children with the hot springs and like the hotel and like trying to get involved that way. I could kind of see looking back.
A little bit. But
I guess watching it back to back kind of helps instead of like week to week.
For those who are in the future watching this immediately in a row, they might see it more than we did.
Yeah,
those lucky people. But my husband is like, because he's now sucked in. I've just had this. He's like completely sucked in. He's like, so think about it this way: if Chris McNally is thinking about eventually leaving, the writer saved his life. They didn't kill him off.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and they're always saying, "Oh, we followed Downton Abbey like as our guide when Jack left, when Daniel Listen left." And I would say, well, that was a terrible choice because everyone hated that way they handled in Downton Abbey. Nobody was like, that was great. We loved that.
Well, Chris is back from in season 11, so
that's true. He is.
And they said it'll be like Governor and Hope Valley. I think that's what they said. Like it'll be like both.
Well, we'll talk about that cliffhanger. But I don't know. It was poorly structured, and they could have made her choice feel much more valid as far as it building instead of it kind of coming out of nowhere. So it was enticing for me as a narrative to be like, are they really going to do this? Like what? But I totally can sympathize with those who feel gaslit because they would be accurate in that.
And I'm sorry for giving people hope. Like all this time.
I know you gave me hope.
And I was like, oh my God, like I'm like, I made it 10 times worse. I made it 10 times worse for everybody.
I did not think that they would do it.
I know. I've heard that reaction from people. Some who are like, I'm never going to watch again, but they probably will. And those who are like, yay, I'm so excited. And those who are like, this brought me back. I'm intrigued. I'm watching again. So,
because if you could get through the way they handled Jack leaving, I can't understand that this would be the cutting off point, because that was, in my opinion, handled absolutely terribly. It was a mess. Season 5 was super fun to podcast about, don't get me wrong, but it was absolutely terrible. And
the backlash after that was like, if you think this is bad, like
earned backlash. I'm sorry. It was
awful. It was awful.
It was bad. Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcasts, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
But this is the thing, and I've said this many times about the show, is that I feel like so often it makes like the most safe choice. And so it kind of, which is fine. This is the show. That's what it is. It's a comfort show. I'm fine with that. But then like out of the blue, they do these like crazy things. And so then they're like, I can't believe everybody is so upset. I'm like, yeah, it's like you take like a toddler and it's like, and then boom, like, of course they're gonna be upset. Of course they're gonna cry. Like what? And it's just as opposed to like when you watch like a soap opera, even something I swear like Seventh Heaven. Even Seventh Heaven had more like sort of tonal consistency, whereas like this, it's just like. I mean, because when you're watching a soap opera, you want the soap. You want it to be like, oh, wow, that's crazy. So-and-so's, twin brother is all of a sudden here. And, you want like, you want the drama. That's part of the fun of it. And whereas this, it's just very funny to me that they seem to be taken aback when people are upset, and I'm like, it's your own fault, like how you structure your show.
Have you seen some of the hash? Have you seen the new hashtag?
Oh no.
Soap Valley.
Soap Valley.
Soap Valley.
Soap Valley. Oh, Soap Valley. No, I wish it was a soap opera. Are you kidding me? If it was a soap opera,
we would expect it and be like, oh, they're doing their crazy thing again.
Yeah.
But Soap Valley is good.
I know. I
was posting. People should check out our TikTok. I have a lot of fun with it, especially since we haven't been doing interviews. I've been posting the clips from past interviews, and I was just posting one from Kim Matula, who was on Bold and Beautiful. And I asked her in that interview, I was like, what's the most outlandish plot? And she's like, I left the show, my character's age was like 22, 23, and she had 6 weddings.
That was a perfect one to post yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, so that, because again, that's sort of part of the fun of it. That I wish that the show was a little bit campier and a little bit, a little bit more, and you wouldn't have Kevin McGarry on the show for 5-6 years and never having kissed a woman.
I know.
No,
like,
that's true. Surely
possible?
He should have had something by now. Yeah.
Well, they did get some new additions to the longing look montages in these episodes.
So during hiatus, it will be all about that now.
Yeah. But so Bill has gotten this injunction, but the governor can veto it, which, by the way, I did some research. There are no governors in Canada. This whole thing is totally ridiculous. So they have appointed lieutenant governors, and I'm no expert on Canadian government, so please feel free to correct me in the comments. But my understanding from my Canadian friends is that basically they elect Parliament, and then Parliament picks a prime minister, and then the prime minister appoints governors, and it's mostly like lieutenant governors. Yeah,
right.
And here's our friend James Butts. He says Canadian provinces and territories use a parliamentary system. The governor or lieutenant governor officially is appointed. The actual chief executive is a premier who is the leader of the majority party in the provincial legislature. So British Columbia, for instance. So whatever party wins the provincial legislature would then select the governor. that's leading that.
Yeah.
Well,
And so there is no governor election. This is like completely, which
but
I just thought was really
it's a
funny.
Canadian US hybrid. Like that's what
Yeah.
Hope Valley is. It's
Yeah.
just like a little bit of Canadian history, a little bit of US history, and it's just Hope Valley.
Yeah,
And that's what it is.
Well, it made me laugh because I'm like, well, I mean, this is like it's like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe when they have like a quantum realm and the different dimensions and stuff. This is like the alternate Canada. No World War One. No.
One of my friends went to Hope Valley, the Harvey Center reunion, and they posted a picture of the mail like in the Mercantile, and it said like Elizabeth Thornton, blah blah blah, Hope Valley, USA.
Oh,
And
Oh my word.
Yeah,
that is really funny.
So,
With the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Force.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like it's a hybrid. Yeah.
It is, I guess so.
I just thought that was funny. And they don't even have governors. There is no governor election. But I guess, I mean, what they wanted is to create this like necessity for him leaving. That's why I thought for so long that, okay, he's leaving the show, because that would make sense. It would make so much sense if Chris McNally had told them mid-season, I want to leave the show or have a reduced capacity on the show or something. Then all of a sudden they're like, okay, we need to change gears and do this rewrite on Nathan and Faith, and nobody will be able to convince me that wasn't a rewrite because it was terrible. And then all of a sudden, like, make this natural exit for him leaving. It just would make so much sense. And so then they build it up to they have to create a reason why he would leave Hope Valley, right? And so him having a change in employment that would necessitate him leaving, politics is an interesting choice. But I think that they certainly could have done it within, actual Canadian, like the way Canada were. I don't know, but I just thought it was really funny. I'm like, oh, that's what caused the heart.
Yeah. And weren't they even saying like territorial government? So like, is it even like now and then I want to go back and look at history, like was the Northwest Territories, were they even a part of Canada? All that. I don't know.
It's interesting.
I'm thinking too much. It's just a show.
Yeah.
But Elizabeth says, she talks to Nathan and she says she's taking Hope Valley for granted. This is when this Cunningham guy is still running. And we're supposed to believe that Lucas basically does everything that he does in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
Hope Valley magic.
Yeah.
It's magic.
And the Elizabeth is like distracted planning the wedding with Rosemary. And it's just, you can tell she's just not that invested. And so then Lucas, so Rosemary says that Lucas should run, and Lucas is considering it because Cunningham was withdrawn. And basically, because they've gotten this injunction, now the governor can veto or stop the injunction and allow it to go. So they need, even though they have managed to survive without this water, for these water rights for so long, all of a sudden it's like the death of the town if this gets taken. And so basically they say to Lucas, like, if somebody doesn't run, because he's given this speech that was heard on the radio, right? So you're the only person that right now could run and win, and so this injunction's not going to get stopped. And so they put him in this position, and Elizabeth says, if it's what you want, then yes. And Lucas decides to run.
Yeah.
So, and then we also have the adorable Mike Hickam and May. And she sees him holding this novel, And it's like, oh, is it
Night
Night
of the Lonesome Heart.
Night
Yeah.
of the Lonesome Heart. And it's great. It's a great book. And
He gets totally stuck in the lie.
yeah, you never lie about stuff like that. Always come back.
And you have to lie. He's like digging himself into this hole about it's my favorite.
Yeah,
Here,
it's his
I own
favorite.
it.
He's so
Just have this
cute.
one.
Like,
Oh, it was so cute. The Hickam May storyline saved these last 2 episodes for me. Really,
Yes.
Right.
they're so cute.
Uh-huh.
Was
Yeah, it was
sweet.
really cute.
protect Hickam at all costs. Like,
For me,
please don't do anything to him. Like,
yeah, it was really
Don't
cute,
break his heart.
but even cuter was Henry Gowan with little Goldie.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, adorable.
That was adorable.
Yeah.
Talk about some great scenes. One, the coordination of them juggling a baby and their work in the rain in the office, Lee and Rosemary.
Yeah.
Gorgeous set, whatever that was directed, and they're acting. But then Gowan with Goldie, and he's holding her and singing to her. Beautiful, beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Henry has
Yeah,
like
adorable.
him and the little girl, like all of his scenes with like the little girls, like whenever in the Christmas movie, and then what else was it? Was it Sarah earlier this season? Like he had a cute little scene with
Oh,
her. I'm
yeah.
like, he's just a perfect like girl dad. Like that's what Martin has girls. So I'm like, he's just perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I did kind of wonder. I'm like, do we know that Martin is staying on the show?
Well, he went to.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, but
I was shocked
because I mean I've been so focused on Chris McNally. Is he leaving?
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't even think about the fact that is Martin leaving.
Yeah,
yeah.
I hope not.
But it was. I mean, you do kind of feel like okay, his character arc is done. Like, I mean,
please no more
full circle. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
But very, very, very good. We'd like to take a second to thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's our friend Jenny Hale. She has a new book coming out called Meet Me at Christmas. From the USA Today bestselling author of the book to TV stories Coming Home for Christmas and Christmas Wishes and Mistletoe Kisses, with over 1 million copies of her books sold, Jenny Hale brings you Meet Me at Christmas. This is a heartwarming holiday read that will have you rushing to your loved ones this Christmas. Traveling researcher Stella Fisher is called home to her family's farmhouse to help her mother through the first Christmas without her father. When Stella arrives, she doesn't expect to find Henry Dutton, the man she left behind. As she could guess after her heartbreaking exit so many years ago, he isn't speaking to her. What she doesn't realize, however, is there's a much bigger reason for his unfriendly reception. She quickly becomes the one person he believes can fix everything, but she isn't sure about that. She thought she'd buried her past, yet the look in his alluring blue eyes brings it all right back to the surface. If you enjoyed the Christmas movies based on Jenny's books and are looking for more feel-good small-town romance, look no further. You can find more about Meet Me at Christmas at it's jennyhale.com, at harpethroad.com, or use the affiliate link below. To Lucas, and he says, rightfully so, if you were okay with me running, I assumed you would mean that you would be okay with me winning. Yeah, that's logical. But, you know, in these kinds of stories in Hallmark, asking someone to move is the equivalent of like, asking them to kill a man. Like, it's just like the worst thing you could ask them. Like, you can't ask someone to move. What?
For 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, nobody hates moving more than me. I hate it so much. But if the man I love needs to move, then, you know, you just do it. And I mean, I guess that's where it came down to. It was like, oh, I guess she didn't love him enough.
Yeah.
To do that, which
Rachel, my heart.
It's true. I didn't write it. They wrote it. But yeah, I guess she didn't. And so she
loves Hope Valley.
That's true. It's like that's the relationship, her and Hope Valley.
Yeah.
not her and a man, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which no place is so great that it's worth giving up love.
I know, right? I don't know why that seems to be something that seems to be a theme in so many Hallmark scripts.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, she realized that, she couldn't do it. And she says, I want to make it work and be there with you when you win. But then she talks to Rosemary, and she's looking through her photo album from her first class. And she says, people keep asking me what I want. And so Rosemary says, what do you want? And she says, I'm trying. My heart just doesn't seem to want to follow. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we have those sort of moments of decision in life where we can take one path or we can take another path. And it feels like she would try it. I just don't believe that she wouldn't. I think she would get on that train with him and try it and be like, this is not working.
Yeah.
But, we only have 12 episodes. That's why this should have happened in like episode 4, and she would have had like, I don't know. It's just bizarre.
That scene with Aaron and Pascal though was really good. Like they're just perfect together, like friendship. Like Rosemary and Elizabeth, Pascal and Aaron.
Well, and I had flashbacks to when she was telling her between Nathan and Lucas. Some people come into your life for a reason, some people for a season, some people to stay. I thought that's what she told her. And then
for a lifetime,
for a lifetime, yes. See the receipts. And then and then later she's like, and then in this scene in episode 11, it's like, well, never mind, But
that's what I was saying. I don't like that she said that I picked the safe choice. I don't think I was listening to my heart. Come on. We all saw that scene on the bridge.
On the bridge. And then the follow-up this season on the bridge too.
Yeah.
So
I still think it's Jack, all related to Jack. Like,
because she went back to the grave. Yeah.
She just it's interesting they try to pull that off, because I get it with as far as the Mountie part of it, but I actually thought that from a narrative perspective that Lucas was the non-safe choice, because she's always been with a Mountie. So to pick somebody different was the not safe choice.
Maybe she thought he would never leave her, but Nathan could leave her either through a transfer or through being killed. But Lucas was safe because he worked in a safe industry.
Job.
But I still think it's Nathan's fault, because he never offered. He never made a move. It's his fault that she felt insecure. If he had made a move, if he tried, then I don't know.
It was a safe choice,
to see how 11 goes.
And she tells Lucas, says that I can't go with you. You're destined for this. Everyone sees it. My life is here. This is where I want to raise my son. And then he says, I started to sense something was missing, and I just hoped I was wrong. It would have been really nice if they could have shared that with us. If we could have had one scene with Lucas being like, or like,
or at least him seeing like her talking to Nathan, like seeing like at least one scene and feeling that, like seeing that, like his like facial expression or whatnot, like seeing that.
Like imagine if in episode 1 of this season she had either almost kissed Nathan or actually kissed him. Like, can you imagine like how like morally complex all of a sudden that is as a character, because she's done something genuinely bad, right? And like that's not good to with when you're engaged. And so then she has to grapple with that, and then she has to tell Lucas, and then Lucas has to grapple with that. What does that mean for her? What does that mean for their relationship? And then everything would be so much more complex. And then when it gets to this point where all of a sudden she has to sacrifice for a relationship, we know that she's not 100% invested, because we've seen it. all the way through the story, so that at this point it's like, okay, this makes sense, instead of just coming out of nowhere, that, you know, all we've had is Lucas being a literal saint this whole season. So it feels like, what? Like, it doesn't make sense. And so that's why the writing can be frustrating.
Yeah. Well, and all the little scenes that, looking back, we were like, no, that can't be. Is that what's happening? Where she's like staring at Nathan, or talking to Nathan, or talking with Gowan. To me, that's just a teeny bit, like, well, she always talked about her relationship with other people. Like, talk to Lucas, you know, it's a little bit, I mean, when I was engaged and when I got married 20 years ago, 20 years this November, I just made this idea. I made this kind of promise to myself that I would never go talking to somebody else about my relationship. Like, because once you start to like complain to a best friend or your mom or this or that, then it really deteriorates, and it just kind of weakens your relationship. Like, you just can't do that. You can't go to somebody else being like, I don't know, or he's so annoying or whatever. No, no, you are faithful. Like, you talk to him. Anyway. No, they weren't married. They were, I mean, I've seen people say that, oh, they're just engaged, but still.
Well, and also, I mean, basically in this time period, that there wasn't that much difference, I don't think, between actually being married and being engaged. It was, I mean, you, like, in this time period, they would have like formally been courting and made a formal, a lot of times they would do things like promise rings and stuff like that. Like, it is different, you know, than what we have now. I mean, they wouldn't be alone in each other's homes. They wouldn't be, I mean, they would be chaperoned, all that stuff. They basically ignored the dating standards of the time on this show, like they did World War I. But this, it just would have made more narrative sense for the character, because we'd have seen from the beginning that she was grappling with this, and that she was, instead of him literally being perfect, and then her being like, well, you asked me to move, so I guess I really didn't love you, and you were the safe pick. Like, what? So that, like, in the sense that I was narratively compelled of like, I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe this is happening. It still could have been better. It reminds me of, actually, Chesapeake Shores, which also was incredibly frustrating for me, because they treated Trace like a bad person because he was literally doing his job. He was a singer. He goes on tour. That's who he is. And the way the show treated him is like, you're abandoning Abby. You're a horrible person because you're like, what? That's what he does. That's his job. Like, I don't know. And so it's kind of the same here, that like, all of a sudden now we're supposed to feel this way about it being the safe choice, when it's like, what? You haven't earned that. You haven't earned that feeling. I don't know. It's strangely compelling. I think one of the best seasons of the show ever, but also it could have been better, I guess, is what I feel. But it was well acted. They did a good job in this scene. I think Erin brought it. In particular.
Yeah. And when she said, like, I'm so glad you could see my light on, I'm like, that was sweet. Like,
and people were saying, oh, she's totally cold-hearted. And I do think saying it was safe was cold, but I do think she showed some emotion. It wasn't like totally. So and she says, maybe these paths are meant to be. And it says, I can't give you all my heart, and you deserve someone to be with someone who can. And I wish you all the happiness in the world. So,
what a long trip.
I know, bless his heart. I'll move to Hope Valley for Lucas.
I would move to Hope Valley for Chris McNally.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, there's something good in the water there if they get Kevin McGarry and Chris McNally.
And Chris. So.
Well, they got to keep the water. So.
Yeah, right.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So it's called Starry Nights. On election day, Lucas has Elizabeth by his side, and the entire community is rooting for him in the hope that he will be the one to save Hope Valley. Rosemary and Lee are debating potential godfathers in the meantime. That summary is a lot.
I know.
What a summary.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh my goodness.
Not by his side.
No, I mean, she was supporting him, you know, even though Hickam tried to cover his face on the flyer so she wouldn't see it. And they were flyers every post. She's like, no, I'm supporting him. He should win. She told him to run.
So, Mary, since you have children, how do you feel about how she handled the scene with the kids that are mad about the breakup?
Oh my
What do you
gosh.
think?
Okay, so I had some thoughts there.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me think about this. Let me find my notes, actually. Okay, the kids, they say, wait, they're so confused, right? What if we don't like Mr. Bouchard? You were supposed to marry him. Should we be mad at him? And I wrote out of the mouths of babes. And then she goes, sometimes we're just meant to be friends. And I was like, oh, what a joke. But it is best, I think, with kids to not make them anxious about adult things. I think you should simplify things for littler kids, especially, so they're not feeling that like my teacher is sad, therefore I should be sad. Maybe it's my fault. They internalize things. So looking back in the moment, I was like, then she like cheerfully goes on to like, now let's talk about an election. But looking back, as I think about it as a mom, it's good to just give a simple, clear, quick explanation to younger kids, I guess, you know, than getting them into, well, let's sit down and talk about this. Okay. So, you know, and then they're like, what? And they, you know, so I think it was good, but that was a good scene because they were almost in a way like the viewer.
Yeah, I felt that too. Yeah. It's like the Hardys.
Yeah, they were like the viewer being like, wait, so do we not like him now? Can we, are we allowed to like Lucas? You know?
Well, and I was glad they gave Opal a line. I think that's her only line of dialogue that she had all season. Because I love her. But yeah, no, I agree. I think it probably would have been better to have been emotionally honest with the kids and say, I am feeling sad. But he's not a bad person. He's not, we shouldn't be mad. But I think kids can genuinely generally recognize when they're being patronized too.
Yeah.
True. And so I think that would have been more effective to be like, am I sad that things didn't work out for this wedding? Yes, I am sad. But but yeah, it was a little.
Help them name the emotion and don't be like, it's fine, you know.
And then she did tell Rosemary she was sad. Like, the next scene, was it the next scene or so I'm like, just tell them. But it was handled like, I guess, as a teacher, like you don't want them to get into your personal, you know.
That's true too. In fact, I have two sisters-in-law who are teachers, and they talk about that, about how you kind of have to have a boundary of, you know, not getting too personal. But then again, it's a small town. Though it sure looked bigger on election day. I was like, where are all these people? Is this the only voting spot for Buxton and for, you know, I don't know.
Somehow Rosemary and Elizabeth got in charge of running the election, which I'm not sure how that happened. Like why, like Bill and
Bill
Nathan
or
the BT what did Hickam say? The back
it was the Bouchard.
Yeah, bust the ballot box for Bouchard. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
and BBT whatever. That was so cute.
Well, yeah, but then the strong arming every adult into voting was a little much.
The ballot was hilarious. It was like,
Yeah.
just check, and I'm like, I've covered so many, when I was a journalist at KSL, I covered so many elections with just the ultimate layers of safety and checking identities and making sure there's nobody voting twice, or, all that stuff, like your ID, okay, is this all correct? Instead, it was like coming in and are you even a resident of the town, and strong arming them and going out with a checklist. Have you voted?
Because it is obviously frustrating how few people vote, but one of the parts of being in a republic and being in a democratic republic, is that people have the right to not vote. That is their choice of to vote or not to vote, and they can't be forced to vote if they don't want to.
And Ned with the "I voted" pin. I was like,
yeah.
I love you, Ned.
The forerunner of the sticker, the pin. He's like, just look to see who has a pin.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. And it came down to 21 votes. So I guess it's a good thing that they did strong arm the town.
Yeah. That's vote. True. Because I felt that on election day. I've been like, did you guys, I'm meaning to do that. I'm like, you could have now, yeah.
I mean, I've been lucky because I've been a absentee ballot voter for.
Well, and now they have it in Utah. It's all vote by mail.
It just comes in the mail, fill it out. Yeah, you can still vote, but it's just the best. Just comes in the mail, click, send it. I'm done.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I was going to say, speaking of that teacher-kid relationship, I don't know. I didn't like her getting kids involved in politics. Same thing with teachers shouldn't talk about their personal lives. Teachers shouldn't talk about politics, in swaying for a candidate. Even though, yes, in this case, we all agree it seemed like it would save the town. But at the same time, you can't tell people how to vote.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to teach kids, obviously, about the mechanics of your government, even if it's this fake government. Can America, is that what should we call it?
Can America.
Can America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
United States of Canada.
Yeah, United States of Canada.
The Canadian state.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they have provinces, but anyway.
Yeah.
But okay. So we talked about how Rosemary and Elizabeth were so in charge, but Hickam was super busy.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, but then,
he was so busy he misses his date with May. And
I felt so bad. I'm like, just go. But
I know.
She was waiting. I'm like,
you think that he could at least send somebody, to tell her or something.
Yeah. But or yell across the street. Hang on.
It did make for a nice moment though at the dance when they confront each other and he's so sorry. And
yes.
Wouldn't that have been fun? Like everyone's expecting a kiss between spoiler alert, everybody, Nathan and Elizabeth, and it would have been Hickam and May. Got the kiss. So
that would have been cute.
The episode.
Yeah, I mean they can't. Nathan and Elizabeth can't kiss because it would be at this point it would mean so much because the man's never kissed a woman.
Season 11, season 12, episode 1. Kiss.
And some people are like, "Oh, he's just shy." I'm like, "That's fine. Make it part of his personality that he's shy, right?
Yeah.
Don't just have him be this And they did finally in the last couple episodes, they made him self-aware and saying, I'm not very good with dating. I'm not very good. That's good writing when you make it part of his character. When he's just kind of doing nothing, that's not being shy. That's just nothing.
Hickam's shy.
Yeah. It becomes a point of almost shy. When people complain about Mary Sue's and stuff like that. And I hate those kinds of terms, but what they're saying is when the author basically has a character that they can kind of move around and make the protagonist and everything is kind of easy and perfect and is an unearned hero is kind of how they think. And it's you want to give the characters some flaws and make them interesting and make them don't just have actually, okay, is he a shy character? Okay, make that part of his personality, make that who he is. and then let's do it, and let's have him go on an arc, and let's have him, and then when he actually says something, it would be super meaningful because you've seen him that he's really awkward socially and stuff. And so anyway, of course they couldn't have them kiss. I mean, that would be crazy.
No,
that would be too much.
No.
My heart, I was like, my heart can't handle this. Like, please don't do this to me. I've been rooting for you this whole time. When across the heart, like, don't do this to me.
Yeah, like if they had established this relationship where maybe they had kissed in the past, or it was like back and forth, but they haven't. He's just been kind of standing there watching.
No, it would have been too soon. I would have liked a Mike and Meg little
that would have been fun.
You know, that would have been cute.
It would have been cute. Yeah.
But I came up with a ship name for them.
Oh.
Hey, like HEI, like Hickam with the A. Hey, like hey. HEI, Team Hay.
Team Hay. Love it.
Ham.
Hey Cam. Yeah.
Hey Cam. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're workshopping it.
Because some of the other ones are like, that one's like.
So,
Mike.
Yeah, Rosemary
Mike
and Lee ask Gowan to be the godfather for
because they can't ask Lucas. Lucas is going to be the best man.
That's right.
Remember those big backslapping hugs? But
this
I love this idea. Like once I got over my hurt for Lucas, I love this idea of Gowan being the
It
godfather.
was really cute. It was great. It was really good. And I loved this conversation between Gowan and Elizabeth. And she says, you are taking responsibility. You've done everything you can. That's the point of forgiveness. And he says, we all blow things up every now and then. Which
I like that.
Yeah. And she said, when we forgive someone, we find peace. It's an act of grace. But then what she said, people have forgiven you, let them.
I love that one.
If they've forgiven you, let them. You owe it to them. You owe it to yourself. Say yes.
So that probably paved the way for him to then take that big journey, that last scene.
And Zinnia says, thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate your friendship. And I do think that it's nice when this show pairs on different people together. So you're not always seeing the same. And I think that Elizabeth and Gowan are an interesting pairing. And it's worked well. It's been good. Nice friendship.
One of the nicest things of the season, for sure.
Yeah.
There's that little part with Fiona and Faith talking, and Fiona seems a teeny bit open to dating somebody.
Yes, and she's like, I meddle.
Yeah, and Mike's like, it's the only thing that works for me. Please meddle.
Please meddle.
Yeah, that was cute. Like, please do.
Yeah. We also have Joseph working on his sermon.
Oh yeah,
and that was sweet. The words will come. That was nice.
That was sweet.
That was really sweet.
And I do think that this whole scene with Nathan and Elizabeth in the ballot box, it was almost like a confessional scene. It was effective. It was good.
Like that. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. You were avoiding me. I'm sorry I overstepped. I appreciate what you said. It was good.
Then we had a little bit with Madeline. So in the beginning, Bill's like, I don't know where she is. I'm just a life of a bachelor. And I'm like, we're gonna drop that. But then she comes back with the come hither look in the saloon.
I know.
Yeah, we did.
Get over here.
And I like when Fiona says, you have to tell her how you feel. And then Bill and Lee are like, good luck with that.
Oh yeah.
Good luck with that.
That was cute.
And so Joseph kind of abandons he kind of abandons his speech, speaks from the heart at the baptism. And I didn't remember little Jack's baptism. I guess that happened, but I forgot it.
It was like 2 minutes.
Oh, really?
At the end.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, forgot that.
I did too.
And then both Henry and Elizabeth talk, and he says, I'm proud to be part of Lily's life. It was very sweet. And like, what a perfect person to pick as a godfather, because he has so much wisdom in his life, the things he's learned. Yeah. It was a good choice. It was a sweet choice. And he says, I spent my life trying to escape the shack I was born in. And I sent the men into the mine to avoid the shack and wear a fancy hat. I was in the darkness for so long, I couldn't see the beauty. And he says, the view hasn't changed from here. I have. So that's why I kind of felt like, is this his closing speech? Like, it just felt so like everything in the characters all come to this point. And it was, I think, one of the finest moments of the show. It was
very good.
It was very good.
Yeah. And that's something that has built every episode. You know, we've seen that journey and it's been so beautiful. So I'm so curious about him because I could see them so well. And for the spoiler, can we say that he shows up on Abigail's doorstep, though we don't see her?
Shocker.
I know.
I was shocked.
You see the mailbox, A. Stanton, and then he's like, "Hello, Abigail." I went, "What?" I like grabbed my husband's arm. He's like, "What's happening? Who is that?" Because I hadn't seen the earlier episodes. I'm like,
I thought they were gonna pan at first, and then like there was like Lori Loughlin like standing like
But it was shock. I mean, if they'd done that and actually shown her, that would have been like mouth agape on the floor. But I was still shocked. And I mean, could it be that they bring her back next season?
Either they do or they don't. Remember how they wrote her out with one line? "Oh, she had to go see her mom. We miss her." So would they do that with him? Like,
they have started re-airing Garage Sale Mysteries. I've seen they've done a couple marathons. So
do you want a spoiler alert for
yes.
season 11? Do y'all
Yes.
want one?
Yes.
They changed the name of the cafe to just the cafe. It's like not Abigail's anymore.
Was that it at the family reunion? People saw that?
Mm-hmm.
So probably not then.
So either he visits her, comes back and tells the town about it, or he's off the show and they say he went and like Elizabeth voiceover in the beginning of season 12, you know.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if he's off the show. Because again, what else is there for the character to do? Like, it's full circle. And
I think he needed Abigail's forgiveness the last even though like that was like his like I need Abigail's
so maybe he comes back with her forgiveness.
Interesting.
Still has to be a godfather.
Okay.
Because Lori's like on GAC, like she's
so is Jack Wagner's in GAC movie. Yeah,
he is
season. Jack Wagner.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's in one for them this season.
An acquired one, and they can go back and forth or something.
She's
going to be in a Christmas movie for them this season, but I don't know if that means she can't.
I mean, he's less like, I don't think he's doing like interstitials and stuff like that for them, as like Lori's doing. But it would be kind of effective as far as getting people to watch. You know, I think
going back and watching like seasons 1 through 6 when Abigail was there, I'm like, oh, I love seeing Abigail and Elizabeth together. But like watching the rest of 6 through 10, I'm like, I don't miss Abigail. Like you know what I mean? Like I like Rosemary and Elizabeth's friendship, and it just felt like a better pace. Yeah. So, like I appreciate the season she was there and her friendship with Elizabeth because she helped her through grief and all that stuff too. Yes. Like I don't need her back, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't miss her. Sorry, Hearties. I just felt like she was a very bland character, but it would be kind of shocking to see, I don't know, to see her come back and see what happens. Yeah, it was a very effective ending, cliffhanger.
Wow.
And then
the next cliffhanger.
Yeah, so then you have Elizabeth talking to Jack's grave. Something inside me broke, and then she says again, I was looking for something safe. What if I broke a second time? I just don't think you would say that like this soon. I think maybe with a little bit of time, you would have that perspective, but no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No. That wasn't fair to Lucas. He deserves to have a great love. Yeah, I don't know. Didn't love that, but it was interesting. And so then she sees Nathan on the road, and you have more longing looks.
Didn't she say though to Jack, like, "You're my one great love"?
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
and which made me think of Lucas telling her, "You are my adventure." So I just keep thinking, I wish I had a
Yeah.
terrible memory and I wouldn't remember this, that she broke his heart. But
Yeah.
yeah, so she does that. And then I was just, when I see Nathan coming up, I'm like, it's too soon. Don't do this to me. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
want
what
her to I don't want her to rebound right into this.
I
So
was like closing my eyes. I'm like, please don't do this to me. Like, please don't do this to me.
Yeah.
too
But
soon.
thank goodness they didn't. Like, I
Yeah.
was like mentally preparing myself like for all the backlash
Yeah.
on Twitter, and so I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Build that
Um,
slowly if it's going to happen.
well, and then Bill comes and says, I need both of you. It's Lucas, because we see Lucas going out of the polling place. He probably would have some security or something if he's the governor elect, especially if it's a sort of scandal, and with the outgoing governor. But nevertheless, he doesn't, and say,
He's
you know, here's him
somebody
say,
on this.
yeah, Mr. Burchard or whatever, and so yeah, he's, who knows what's happened. He's been
It was somebody he
shot or
recognized. Yeah, he
Yeah.
goes,
I think
are
it's Balfour.
either Balfour or
Not
Montague.
Balfour. I mean Montague. That's what I meant. Montague.
It's
Because
probably, do you know what? It's probably that guy who was Hot Springs tourist, then he was governor's advance man, then he was working for the other side. I bet it's a fourth twist for his character. It's probably him. You, why are you here? Because I'm here to shoot you.
Yeah, I would love that.
I mean, so
I made you run for governor, and now I'm gonna get you for it. Like,
exactly. What do you bet? It's him. I don't know. It's somebody. And then we just assume he's been injured, right?
I think so. He's probably been shot. Yeah. I think so. Well, I asked our Twitter what people thought about it, and got some shocked expressions and some memes and stuff. But Terry, our friend, says, invested. The season finale was good. I actually want to know what's going to happen. And that's how I feel too. I actually am like, oh, what are they going to do? Wasn't a perfect season. And I know some fans are bummed, but the shakeup was much needed and brought the show back to life. I kind of agree, even if I also can see why it wasn't like handled the best. But
I see it both ways. Like,
yeah.
They should have done it at the beginning.
Andrew Dunn, he says, I feel depressed.
Oh no.
He's very upset on his Twitter. Poor guy.
Yeah.
And Marianne says, Henry and Elizabeth is the friendship I never knew I needed. At first, I thought their interactions were just for convenience, with E as a stand-in for A for Abigail. Okay. But it has really become a mutual and profound friendship. Also, I hope let's see. I hope a Hallmark gets the hint and brings back Lori Loughlin. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. So there we go. That's the thoughts. Overall, I thought it was a ballsy, fun season to watch. I enjoyed it. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do for season 11. And do you have any final thoughts, Caroline?
Like, they said it was going to be a roller coaster, and boy, was it. And but I'm invested, so I'll can't wait to see Lucas as governor and how Elizabeth moves on very slowly. If so, that's what I hope for.
Yeah. Would you have any final thoughts, Mary?
Yeah, as a Team Lucas fan, I was brokenhearted and mad and thought, why do I even watch this show? But as the more it's kind of settled, I'm like, of course I'm going to keep watching the show.
Me too. That's what I thought too. I'm like, I can't do this again.
I can't go through another roller coaster. Okay, what's happening? Where, and they pulled me in. Darn it, I'm mad at them, but dang it, when's the next season?
Right.
So those are my last thoughts.
Okay,
it has to be soonish, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be like, I don't know when they're gonna. It just depends on when they're gonna do The Way Home.
Oh yeah,
because if that's gonna be in the spring, I think they had the waiver so they could film that. So then then it would be a while, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
If they do the way how they did this past year, like January to March, and then when Cause of Heart March to May.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, again, let us know what you think. We want to hear all of the thoughts in the comments, please. And Caroline, where can people find you?
On Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at @MeToCarolineR.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. And Mary, what about you?
Yeah, I still call it Twitter, @_ Mary Richards, Instagram Mary Richards Reports, and Facebook Reporter Mary Richards.
Great. And make sure that you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really, really helps us a lot, especially during this holiday season. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate that. Most of our viewers aren't subscribers. And so if you fit that camp, please subscribe. It really helps the algorithm a lot. And check out our Patreon group and merch store, where we still have Team Lucas and Team Nathan shirts. So if you want to get on board, check out the merch store. We really appreciate that. And as well as a whole bunch of fun new Christmas designs. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. It's been fun. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.